Hey guys, Furum here, and today I'm going to be testing the SCG 003S in multiplayer for the second time, this time at 4 stars. Now this has been a long-awaited video, and I decided now would be a great time to make it. So my rank is 3443, with everything maxed out as far as I could go with the 3 epic import parts that I had. So now let's get to our first race, and I believe this was the first race in the Slipstream season that I played with this car. Yes, this was in the previous Slipstream season, not in the current Sheeran season. So the competition may be a little different, but you'll still get to see how it performs during a Slipstream season. So one of the first things you will probably notice is that this car definitely has worse nitro efficiency than it used to. It used to have one of the best nitro efficiencies you could get in a car early on in the game. While it is a B-Class King, it wasn't especially difficult to get. So yeah, it was just this amazing car that could pretty much beat all sorts of stuff and womp all over A-Class cars. It has been nerfed in the most recent update. Top speed and acceleration are still the same, but the handling, which was already quite bad, has been nerfed, and the nitro efficiency, which used to be very good, is now just average. It's not horrible, certainly, it's still pretty good, just not as great as it used to be, which makes this car, again, not as overpowered as it used to be. But as you will see in this video, it is still quite good. I believe it is still faster, at least in terms of speed, than all A-Class cars. So that means that if you're ahead of them, they won't be able to catch up to you, at least in not Slipstream season. Now in Slipstream season, cars that are slower than you, but still faster than you without nitro, can still catch up to you. Now the car right behind us is actually another SCG, but we're also facing a LaFerrari, a P1, a Ford GT, as well as some other cars. Now there, that guy Rex, on, I don't know, probably that second barrel roll, because it does sometimes put you on your top if you go too low, and we come in first place. Now, the next race does not have quite such easy of opponents. In this race, we're facing 3 VLFs, which got buffed in all aspects. We're also facing a Huayra BC, as well as 2 Porsche 918 Spyders and an F12 TDF. So some quite powerful cars. Let's see how this lonely SCG can do against them. Because the speed is good, that's the thing. If you can get behind somebody in a car that is fast, but does not have good nitro efficiency, well, you can pretty much stay up to your top speed. And it also allows you to shockwave up all ramps and stuff like that. So if you're in a car with high top speed but low nitro efficiency, it might be best to stay, well, slightly behind for a little bit, and then shockwave past people on ramps or whatever. Or on turns, as I did right there. And now we are into second position. The only car ahead of us right now is a VLF. Now, the VLF is one of the fastest, if not the very fastest, A-Class car in terms of top speed. It can go 235 miles per hour at 4 stars, which leads me to believe it could probably go 237, possibly even 238 at 5 stars. If you have a 5-star VLF, let me know how fast it goes. So there, he just wrecked, which means we are now in first place against a bunch of more powerful A-Class cars, and one F12 TDF, which is a very powerful B-Class car in Slipstream. Not exactly sure why I went around that turn a little bit weird there, but anyway, we're still in first. I found that you can go around the left there wall riding, and therefore get around a bit faster. So before this update, the SCG was the definite king of Class B on, I believe, all tracks. It may not be that way anymore, I'm really not sure. And the thing is, I cannot really make a new best and worst cars list until I get this information as to which cars are really better than others. Since I don't have all the cars, like all the new ones, for example, I don't have the Sin R1, and so to make this video, I will probably, again, enlist the help of some RPM members. I don't know when it's going to be, but I really do hope to make one. So we're coming up to the end of this race. We crossed the finish line ahead of this car, the VLF, and somehow come in second. He has a worse internet connection, and we have the same frame, and you could clearly see in the video that I crossed the finish line first. So I'm not exactly sure how that happened. I still went up a lot, for sure, I'm not complaining about that. It's just kind of weird, and I hope that doesn't happen again. Now, in this race, we are facing a Porsche 918 Spyder, and the other 5 cars in the race between me and that Spyder are 5 VLFs. Yes, they were super popular this season, and I know why. They're very good cars in pretty much every aspect. And it was quite interesting to see if I could beat them with the car that had pretty much, well, worse everything, except maybe slightly higher top speed. I'm not even sure about that. And I was pleasantly surprised. The SCG really can still hold its own if you know how to drive it and if you don't have glitches happening to you. The Sheeran is unfortunately quite glitchy, and while that doesn't make it not worth it or anything, it is still the best car in the game right now. I've had so many great wins with it. I'm going to probably publish a video about the Chiron tomorrow, but as I was saying, it's kind of glitchy. It has a tendency to wreck when you land or hit a wall too hard. It often likes to go on its side and wreck. So that's one thing that I don't like about it. However, it hasn't happened often enough for me to want to stop using it or whatever. It's still an amazing car, my favorite car in the game right now. It's at 4 stars with everything completely upgraded with import parts and upgrade. Gosh, that took lots of credits, except for handling, which is at 3 or something, because the car already drifts so well, already does not lose too much speed around turns. I figured it would be best to save my money for upgrading other things like the FXXK, for example, which I just 5-starred and have not completely maxed out yet, but hopefully with some of that money that I'm saving by not upgrading the handling on the Chiron, I'll be able to upgrade that FXXK some. Maybe I'll make a video about that. So here, this VLF shockwaves into me from behind and knocks me down, and I'm back into 3rd place. However, this is still a 7-player race, so we still got 4 people behind us. Even if we come in 3rd in this kind of race, we're probably still going up. Generally speaking, if you're around the same rating as the other people in the race that you're in, if you're in the top half, you're going to go up. If you're in the bottom half, you're going to go down. If you're in 4 out of 7, you may go up or down 1 or 2. But you may stay equal. So I was thinking, well, I'm just going to obviously finish this race. I only leave if I'm in last or something. And usually if only it's my first disconnect of the day. So here the VLF and I have some problems around the corners. Thankfully, I'm able to shockwave up the ramp, whereas he doesn't. And I gain more speed than he does, and I come in 2nd position. We lost to 1 VLF, but we beat 4 others, as well as a Porsche 918 Spyder. Now this next race is a bit crazy. And before I forget to say it, Happy New Year to everybody watching. Now in this race, we are facing a 918 Spyder, an Egoista, a VLF, another SCG, and an Aston Martin Vulcan. As always, the beginning is haywire. As I've said in previous videos, if you're at the back, try to catch a slipstream and shockwave as early as possible. If you're in the front, drift so other people cannot catch your shockwave, and then shockwave when you get a full nitro bar. That is what I've done both shockwave seasons, and it has worked quite well. So guys, I know there has been a lot of outrage, to put it lightly, recently about the Chiron event, and a lot of people have wanted me to talk a bit about it. So here is my opinion about what has gone on in the event. It was a good idea. It certainly allowed them to build up a lot of hype for the king of the game, and it certainly allows, well, maybe more people to get it than they would normally through an Unleashed event, and it's certainly more interesting. It also gives lots of tokens, lots of credits, stuff like that. On the outside, it looks great. However, once you get down into it, you start to see some problems, like requiring 2 cars that have not been released yet to get, I think, over half of all the Chiron blueprints in the event, especially when we were told that we would be able to get all the blueprints fairly easily and get the car without spending tokens, which, well, didn't happen because you have to spend tokens to get those cars since they're in packs and they're quite expensive, and it's more worth it to just spend tokens on Bugatti Chiron packs, and if you go for those cars, you won't be able to star up the Chiron as much, and some of them are locked behind 3-star ones of those cars, and it makes it even more difficult to get those Chiron blueprints. In my opinion, skip those cars and just buy Chiron packs, go for those cars later. Rant out of the way, and we come in 1st position. Now in this final race of the video, we are facing one of probably the biggest Asphalt YouTubers. He is a Russian YouTuber named Ruben M, who is a very good driver. He is in a VLF. We are also facing 2 VLFs besides Ruben, an FXXK, and an Aventador SV Coupe. I used the Aventador a bit earlier in the season, and it's pretty good. It's pretty cool when you're in a slipstream season and you're slightly behind the leaders, and you can just stay in shockwave up all the ramps, and then get ahead of a bunch of people, and then hit the truck and lose all your speed. It's annoying how often that happens. So we shockwave up this ramp just behind this guy, go a bit high, but it does allow us to pick up some speed, and we're able to pass him and get into 1st place. Now, don't forget, Ruben is a pretty good driver, so we'll start to see him come up pretty soon. So I guess it's time for my general review about the SCG. It is definitely still one of the best B-class cars in the game. Is it still king on all tracks? Probably not. I think the new Sin R1 is a lot like the SCG, but with probably worse acceleration and better nitro efficiency, so it can likely beat the SCG on a lot of tracks. Now, cars like the 4GT and CN probably still can't beat it on anything, because they also got nerfed in handling and nitro, I believe. So they're still pretty fast, but they're still worse than this car. Now, the F12 TDF, that car has really good nitro efficiency. Not nearly as fast as this car. It's several miles per hour slower. But I don't know. Maybe on some tracks it could now beat it, I'm not sure. I'm willing to see any tests that people do with B-Class, or any of the classes for that matter, because that would really help me in my making of the second best and worst cars in each class video. But from my experience, this car is still quite good. Even though it has been nerfed, its nitro efficiency is still at least average, just about as good as the Bugatti Chiron's is at max. And although it's not quite as fun to drive as before, it's still pretty fun, and I would say still a worthy contender in multiplayer. If you can keep that speed up, that's the thing. It's a bit harder to do that than it was before. Now, something I'm not sure about is cars like this one that have a bad handling stat. Does upgrading handling make the car drift and handle better, or does it just reduce the speed lost when turning? Because from my experience, cars like the F12 TDF and this one that have low handling stats do not turn as well, nor do they drift as well, but they also lose quite a bit of speed when turning. So what does upgrading handling really do? Let me know down in the comments if you know. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Please like the video if you've enjoyed and consider subscribing for more Asphalt 8 and 9 content. And I will see you in my next video. Goodbye!